Perfect. So November 13th, 2025, build work group meeting. Let's start with the first issue, updating infrastructure provider list.
Not much has changed on this one since the last time, which is just we need to kind of put together a list of what we're using and provide that over to the marketing side so that we kind of pull this out of infrastructure and kind of do all the thank yous all in one place was really what we've decided, and we just that just still needs to be done. There's not much else to
Okay.
say on that, I don't think.
Do you want to keep it on the build agenda?
I don't think it needs to be.
Okay, let's remove it. That was quick. All right, so let me close that. Do you guys, by the way, do you mind joining this and adding your names if possible when you get a chance? Next item on the list is upgrading the compiler tool chain to Clang or Clang. Any updates on this? Let's see. Question regarding the Rust toolchain support. Ccache to SC. Okay.
Yeah, that came up yesterday in a different conversation with my colleagues about PyTorch and the fact that they're using SC cache, which is Mozilla's implementation of Ccache, but that it has support for Rust. And I wasn't sure if we're adding stuff to our builds that if that would be helpful if we need that. It also is sort of distributed by design, so the idea that we have in the OSX world where we need to have a persistent cache and then the ephemeral nodes, it works a lot better with that sort of situation too. So it's just something I brought up to talk about on that, pilot chain. The other update I had on that was that there's the two machines that are the benchmarking machines. I've created two more machines and I've started the process of Ansibling those. And I've also got authorization from Ben and Robin to provide the build working group with access to that account. The problem is there's Hetzner doesn't have very good like account kind of stuff. We can't like share anything. It's just like we basically have to share an account to get access to that. And it is the only account the build working group works with that directly costs the foundation money. It's only $80 a month, but it was just one of those like, before we give passwords out to this, we want to make sure that everyone knows that, like, by the way, if you stand up servers on this, it's real money's being spent and not credits and things like that. So I just need to put that into the secrets repo so that in the future, if we need to upgrade from Ubuntu 24 to 26 someday, then that's easily doable and does not require me to be the only bottleneck on it.
Okay. Um, going back to the adding SC cache, there are not many files, Rust specific files that we're building at this time. It's not heavy. Um, Definitely nowhere near that number of V8 source files they have to compile. It's limited. Maybe down the road they add more and it changes, but right now it's light. So
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't hurt adding it, obviously, but it doesn't take that much time to build Rust specific files right now.
Yeah,
Great.
I don't think we're wedded to a particular caching tooling because I think Windows used to use CL cache, and I can't remember if it switched to C cache or some other cache. Um, in the GitHub Actions on the main repo, I think we are using a C cache. I guess the one complication, it's not really a complication. The one thing is that it's probably not as readily available in package managers as C cache, which isn't an insurmountable problem. But yeah, I don't think there's any real objection to it. Obviously, someone will need to do transformative work either onto the machines or in the scripts to invoke it. But I mean, we have the select compiler script, so the select compiler could pick to use SC cache if it was there on the machine. Yeah, as Miller said, right at this moment, well, at this moment, there's no Rust. We know there is Rust coming,
Mm-hmm.
and then when it comes, it will be small to start with. So yeah, yeah, it probably will be a good idea, but it's not pressing in terms of I don't think once we add the first little bit of Rust in that it's going to drastically, kill the build times.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it will presumably only grow as time goes on. So yeah, I mean, it's probably worth thinking about. But yeah, I think the answer is yes. We probably could, but it will be it will be work to switch, decide which platforms to do it on. Maybe macOS would be a good one, and then switch. I mean,
Mhm.
I think we're not even using. I think the newer versions of Ccache. Well, I say newer; it's probably a couple of years now. Ccache has distributed cache.
Mhm.
We're just not using it. You can do Redis based,
Right.
Alky based, backend stores for Ccache, but we just haven't done any sort of work to enable that and point things to that to
Yeah,
switch
and
it.
that I was anticipating having to do that for in order to make the shared caching work on OS X because
Mhm.
there we just recently re-signed with Mac Stadium a new contract that gives us a 1 TB drive that has a machine associated with it that we can run the Redis/Valkey Ccache on, but we're gonna have to set that up and get it all working as opposed to the sort of janky NFS mount that's running there now. And so the process of getting that up and running, it's like, well, maybe we just get Scache up and running instead of Ccache up and running, and it's the same amount of work, but that may be an opportunity to experiment with it.
Yeah, I mean, whoever, whether that's you or someone else that wants to pick that up, I don't think we have any real objections to trying it.
Yeah.
But the main ask is that whatever we end up with, it's reproducible, whether that's through Packer or Ansible or what, however it's set up, that
Hmm.
it's not reliant on someone actually knowing how they set it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Tangential to that, I do have that pull request of how it's all set up that I'm hoping someone can review. So um, for the OS X stuff.
Is that in the build repository?
It is. There's a pull request for the OS X Packer updates for. You
Gotcha.
might want to add that to the agenda. But
Okay. Anything else on this topic and the topic of upgrading the tool chain specific to C-Line? Nothing else? Okay. Moving on, next issue, enabling Rust. So, yeah, I know this is an active item right now. It's being worked on. Open up, see what we have. Start report my experiment and okay. Anything you guys want to talk about first before I talk about a few stuff related to Rust and
There
some of the
were
more, yeah.
There were two pull requests open today. So right on the screen you're looking at, right at the bottom, there's really like two links. So not in a comment, but the actual so that's 60701 and 60703. They are just doing very rudimentary. One of them is being able to link to a already built temporal library, and the other one is trying to do a static compilation. By sort of pulling the temporal code separately from the V8 dependencies. So they're sort of very early stages to get some of the way there. I mean, it probably won't be the thing that we end up using in that form when we actually enable temporal in Node itself. But it gets some of the way there. I need to familiarize myself a bit more to because it looks like quite a lot of stuff going in, and apparently that's not everything. But yeah, there is some now work going on in upstream. We are still going to need to do work in the build group to actually put the Rust toolchain on the build machines. But I think the work you've done, Malad, to investigate building Rust on the IBM platforms, we kind of have a feel of to what level of Rust we can attempt to use. Although we'll probably cover the difficulties we've had, which is that V8 tend to use nightly builds of the Rust toolchain, and really for for Node, we kind of need to be on, something we can install easily from package managers. Not just for us, but also for like downstream builders of like Linux distros and stuff. They're not going to want to pull nightly builds of compilers just to be able to build a package. It will need to be the packaged version of the compiler that they supply. So
yeah, okay. So note on that front. Let me actually bring the file up, because that will help explaining things a little bit. Where's it? Here. So this is the main CL that sort of enabled things. There were a few more CLs that I'm still working on to make things a bit more easier on our build system, but this is the main thing. As you can see, everything is GNI, and the only Rust specific change is this file. This is a shim, meaning it's a little bit hard to see because with all these comments, but this is essentially a handler that you have to pass in to essentially handle these specific scenarios. So alloc handler crashes, you have to be able to handle it. And same thing with no alloc shim is unstable. If you don't pass these things, it will not compile, make snapshot fails compiling, and gives you link errors. And you can see that I've added these to essentially say, if you're not using nightly versions, use all this stuff. Else, just use whatever Chromium upstream is using, which is all this. We can't compile these, obviously, because we don't use nightly features. The problem is that now, I'm pretty sure you guys will end up compiling this. Maybe you have a workaround on your own, but right now, I'm pretty sure you'll end up compiling this. And this patch only works with Rust 1.84. It fails to compile with Rust 1.88 because well, this is what I've talked about here with him, with upstream maintainers, that libstd liballoc reference allocator error handler symbols with this, essentially a new namespace, which doesn't exist on 1.84. I didn't spend too much time. I just tried to export symbols here manually, and it still failed. So I haven't looked into this further. I'll have to look into it down the road. But I brought it up with him, and I essentially said, is there a way you guys can rewrite this file to avoid using nightly features so everyone is unified? And he said no. He said it is what it is. We're gonna have to use nightly features in this file. And if we don't like it, then we have to continue maintaining it as we're doing it right now. Or we have to find another alternative to this file altogether. If we don't, so when I say nightly feature, it doesn't mean that we use the we essentially reinstall Rust every night from scratch. No, what I mean is that we can pin to a specific night or a date, which does include all the nightly features available, versus installing it with like DNF Rust toolset. Something to think about. If we end up using system provided binaries, then we have to maintain this file. And I'm pretty sure this is just going to keep getting worse. They're going to add things to this file, and we have to maintain them. The easier solution is to use nightly feature, but the problem with that is not all platforms have nightly features available. I think AIX is one of them. So again, something to think about, something to keep in mind. For now, this works with 1.84, but we'll have to patch it again. That's.
But I guess an interesting question is, presumably at some point the nightly features will actually roll into an actual versioned release.
The thing is, nightly features, so things like this, things like feature linkage or weak linkage, I'm not sure if they will ever be pulled into an actual stable version. Right now, whenever I try to use them, they say this feature is only available in a nightly feature, in a nightly build of Rust. So hard to tell. I don't know, maybe down the road they decide to pull it in. But right now, we don't have it. That's the challenge.
Okay.
That's all I had. So again, as of right now, if you guys are targeting a Rust version, try to target this version, which is actually not that new. It's a little bit old, but it works. Everything is compiling with that version so far. And yeah, if you end up installing something later, you might see failures until we patch it again. This is something we have to keep up with. Yeah. So going back here. No, here. So yeah, I guess you'll hit it whenever you're experimenting with these stuff. Anything else on this topic? Questions, comments, things you might have in mind? No? All right. Yeah, I'll add the details of what I talked about here.
The only question / comment I had about the Rust support stuff is, have we heard anything at all from the Smart OS people about whether or not there's a future there? Because I feel like we're going to end up with at the very last minute, this is all being added in, and then someone from Smart OS is like, oh wait, we haven't got support for this yet, and
I think we
I just want
ping them at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for the heads up. We have tier 2 support in Rust for Luminous and AMD64. You can use the regular, so they know about it.
Okay, and it looks
Yeah.
like it's not some we'll have to add it. Great.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if these platforms and including AIX will have nightly available, so we have to be considerate. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions on this? All right, moving on. I'll add details here later. This is all we had on the list. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about?
I have a small topic. We were starting offline to discuss about the security working group goals for next year, and one of the things that we have been started thinking is maybe we can try to work in an effort to try to find a way that we don't need to embargo the CI when we are preparing like security releases. But I was thinking that the first thought was maybe we need to duplicate Jenkins stuff in order to make that. So that's going to be a huge, massive effort. And maybe it's already too much, right? So I just wanted to get some early feedback and see if we see the same effort here, or there is maybe something that we can explore. Also, if the team's interested in exploring this or not. So yeah, we're in those super early steps, basically defining next year goals. So.
Okay, thank you for the update. And QA upcoming. All right. Seems like it was short.
Yeah.
Short
Short
meeting.
The only other question I had, any word back from Microsoft, Ulysses?
Oh, this is a good one. Actually, no new emails, no in spam folder, nothing. And I'm still also working with Express team to see if we are happy to try to transfer the other one. So that might work a little bit. Yeah, I think we are not going to use that at Express at all. We are going to use some data loss and credits, I think, for the performance. So yeah, we might get some extra Azure credit for us.
Sure. Perfect. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions, topics, comments? All right. If there's nothing else, then I'm going to stop recording and end the meeting. Thank you so much for joining. We'll talk in 3 weeks.
Great. Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.